January 28th, 2022, this is FOMO's a MOFO, a video game collecting podcast. Coming up on today's episode, the Nintendo Switch hits a massive milestone, Crytek unveils their next project, and a major fighting game is getting delisted. Welcome to FOMO's a MOFO, Episode 3. I am your host, BlueSwim, and we have plenty of things on the agenda today. We have a lot to talk about as far as collecting news. There's some major new releases coming out today, as a matter of fact. If you somehow, some way haven't been on social media, you'll figure out what that title is pretty quickly. Probably a mountain of deals, and then, of course, pickups. And I teased my pickups on Twitter this week. I got in a nifty little box from Limited Run Games, and this was basically the other part of my my Blowout Sale 2022 order. I finally got that in, and there's quite a little bit of Switch goodness in this box. But that will be a little bit later on in the show. For now, we are going to move over to collecting news. And as you heard in the intro, the Nintendo Switch has surpassed a massive milestone. And that milestone being the lifetime sales of both the original PlayStation and the Wii. The Switch combined across the original Switch, the Switch Lite, and the OLED has managed to hit 102.81 million units sold. You know, I really can't say I'm that surprised. I love the system. I'm crazy about it. It's basically the dream come true. I might have said that in a previous episode, but the thought of having a home console that you could take anywhere and a portable game that you can play on your TV just seamlessly integrated into one, no gaps in performance. I mean, well, at least not much. Usually, that was like the dream I've had, since I was a kid. And of course, we had things like the Super Game Boy, which, quite frankly, every time I played the Super Game Boy, it would wipe my saves. I don't know what it is, and it's been like that since I got a second one later on down the road. It's just, it never cooperated with me. And, that was a good way to play the Game Boy games on the TV, but it wasn't the same as what the Switch does. And, of course, there was also the Sega Nomad, the portable Genesis that would last like 45 minutes on like 6 AA's or 8 AA's, something like that. That was another one of those things where it's like, you could see the potential of the idea, but the technology really wasn't there to do it as well as it is now. And, the Switch has had such a massive library of games, must-play games, Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, regardless as to how you feel about a Warriors game. That is a must-play title on there. I mean, this is one of the best libraries that Nintendo has ever assembled for any piece of hardware they've ever put out. And, the fact that you can play it portably, you can play it anywhere on the planet, you can dock it and play it on the TV. I mean, it really is not hard to understand why the system has been such a success. And one surprising thing about it, I should say, is that it's been such a massive success and they haven't dropped the price on it. You see the Black Friday bundles here and there, the typical Mario Kart with like 12 months of Switch Online or 3 months of Switch Online for $300. You see it practically every year, but that's about as close as it's gotten to anything really resembling a price drop. And, for it to have sold 102.8 million units, that moves it into 5th all-time? I mean, that's just incredible. And you have to wonder how well the system is going to sell, how many more units per month, I guess you'd say, it's going to sell if they ever do drop the price by $50, or if they move the Switch Lite down to $149 and the original Switch down to $199. I mean, stuff like that would probably help get it towards that all-time greatest selling console number of 155 million that the PlayStation 2 ended up moving. And, could it happen? Absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's anything going right now that would say, yeah, the Switch is not going to do that, because they still have the ability to drop the price. And of course, granted, with everything going on as far as chip shortages and supply issues and whatnot, it's not necessarily a great time from a business perspective to drop the price on it. But theoretically speaking, if they really wanted to have that title of the best-selling home console, portable, whatever you want to call it, of all time, they can slash that price, and they would probably get there. I have very little doubt of it, especially because we're not even at the 5-year mark with it. And there's still Breath of the Wild 2 coming. Pokemon Legends Arceus just launched today. There's a lot of titles that would really get people to go out and grab a Switch if they haven't already, if the price came down a little bit. But another title that you can be playing on the Switch, and this will be sometime in the month of April, or excuse me, not April, February, is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask will be hitting the Nintendo 64 collection on Nintendo Switch Online. And personally, I loved Ocarina of Time way, way more. I've tried Majora's Mask several times throughout the years, and it's just never really grabbed me in the same way that Ocarina of Time did. I did not like the Groundhog Day effect, I guess you'd say. Repeating days over and over again, having that ever-looming deadline hanging over your head. It just was not fun for me. It's like one thing I loved about Ocarina of Time was just being able to go anywhere, do anything. If I wanted to spend 2 hours at the fishing hole on Lake Hylia, I could. And I did. I did quite a bit. That was one of my favorite pastimes when playing Zelda Ocarina of Time. That was not actually, doing stuff for the main story. But, Majora's Mask, it's one of those titles. I have it on 3DS as well. I should probably give it another try maybe on there, since they probably tweaked it a little bit. But, if you're in the camp that enjoys Majora's Mask, you are going to be able to have it with you pretty much anywhere you want on the planet, because it will be on Switch Online. They do not have the exact release date listed. It's just a nebulous February. Might as well knock out the rest of February's free games, if you will, for online services with the February PlayStation Plus lineup. On PS4, you are going to get UFC 4 and Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, a Wonderland's one-shot adventure. Then on PlayStation 5, you will get Planet Coaster Console Edition. Personally, I love mixed martial arts type games. I'm a huge fan of pro wrestling games. In the EA Sports UFC games, I haven't spent a lot of time with them, but what I've played of it, I've enjoyed. So to get that through PlayStation Plus, that's a good deal to get you in the door at least. Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, that's I believe that's Borderlands spin-off. And there's going to be like another game coming out. I think that's it. I think there's going to be like some sort of a bigger release later this year from that spinoff. I don't think this is it. I think this is a spinoff. That's a neat title, and of course that one kind of blipped on my radar because they had "Gimme Chocolate" by Baby Metal in it. That's 2 times I've worked in a reference to that song on this show. Now, if only I could get an interview with them. Then you have, like I said, Planet Coaster on PS5. Personally, I've been on one roller coaster in my life. It was at King's Dominion in Virginia. And it wasn't even one of these insane, twisty, twirly, throw you 300 feet in the air types of things. It was just, I'd say, an entry-level roller coaster, if you will. And yeah, tried it once, didn't really like it. Not necessarily my thing. I can't imagine subjecting virtual people to an insane roller coaster creation of my own. That probably would not end well for anybody. Especially if there's like some sort of like a first person view as you're going through the roller coaster. I think I'd probably just kind of roll my eyes back in the head and start drooling on the floor. Yeah, not fun. But what is fun is there's also some more games with gold on Xbox Live. And the announced titles for the month of February are Broken Sword 5, The Serpent's Curse, Aerial Knights Never Yield, and those two are probably Xbox One titles, I think, because there's no Xbox 360 logo on them or anything. I do my best to keep up with this stuff, but I'm a little bit behind on my Xbox stuff. You know, there's just so much to keep up with, and I haven't had any interest in the Xbox One. Or, well, the Series X and S, you know, that's starting to kind of, you know, pique my interest a bit. But I just completely lost touch on the Xbox brand during the Xbox One lifespan. It just did not really appeal to me at all. But let's see, those two, Broken Sword 5 is going to be available from February 1st through the 28th, normally a $25 value. And Aerial Knights Never Yield is going to be available February 16th through March 15th. That's normally $12. Now, the Xbox 360 titles for the month are Hydrophobia and Band of Bugs. And looks like Hydrophobia is normally $9 and Band of Bugs is $10. And there's a total value of $55.96 with 2,400 in gamer score. So, I mean, if you're paying for Xbox Live Gold, you're getting some decent stuff. Moving on, we finally have a release date for LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. And this has been delayed, God, I want to say it's been a year worth of delays. And reports have come out that the developers have really had to crunch big time for quite a while. And that dozens of staff members have apparently left. You hate to hear stuff like that because that is such a stressful environment. You know, I can only imagine the kind of pressure they're under. And, you know, the only good thing you can really say about it is that their efforts appear to have been, you know, worth the wait because what I saw of the LEGO Skywalker Saga trailer was really, really good. I believe they released a 6-minute trailer for it. And it looks like they really built off of some of the elements they introduced with LEGO The Force Awakens, which was, you know, so at best Star Wars movie, but the game was really, really good. One of my favorite LEGO games, actually. And this looks like they just took everything and they just cranked it up to 11. Let's see. There's a deluxe edition available for $69.99, and there's a steelbook at Best Buy. And it doesn't matter if you're getting it on Switch or PS4. There's going to be a steelbook for, you know, both different case varieties. The game itself is going to cover, quote, all 9 movies. Now I'm no big city mathematician, but I'm pretty sure there are 11 Star Wars movies. At least if you count the Disney ones. Personally, I kind of walled those off in my mind. You know, it's like, yeah, that's not Star Wars. That's just like glorified fan films. But from this personal perspective, this, you know, particular game, I should say, you know, covering all 9 movies is a little bit misleading because they're apparently only counting the episodes, not the spin-offs, the Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, or Solo. And personally, of the two, I actually like Solo better than Rogue One. More like Rogue No One Lives. But what the game looks like it's going to be a must-buy if you are a fan of the LEGO games. They've really They've really gone all out with it, and it shows. And it's unfortunate that the developers had to deal with such a, terribly stressful work environment, and that should not be the case when your game is getting delayed this much. You shouldn't have to crunch. It's like the delays are supposed to help avoid the crunch, but apparently there's been some mismanagement there. Apparently, allegedly, whatever. But let's see. Moving on, we have the release date being unveiled for Prinny Presents NIS Collection Volume 2, Makai Kingdom Reclaimed and Rebound, and ZHP Unlosing Ranger vs. Dark Death Evil Man. That's a long title, dude. And quite frankly, 2 long games on top of that. And you'll be able to get your hands on those on May 31st. Personally, if not for Persona 3 Portable, ZHP Unlosing Ranger vs. Dark Death Evil Man would be my favorite RPG on PSP. And basically, you are playing I guess you'd say like a tokusatsu style hero character. And he keeps dying every time he fights Dark Death Evil Man. And every time he dies, they have to kind of rebuild him or expand on his abilities. It's been so long since I played any of it, and I remember I got pretty far along with it, and I just lost my place with it and never went back. So I'm really looking forward to picking this up when it comes out. And the physical release is going to have the soundtrack CD and a softcover art book for $59.99. And there is a special edition on the NIS website. I'm not sure if it's sold out or not. But just like with Phantom Brave and Soul Nomad, when those were in the first NIS collection, the soundtrack CD is going to have a mix of tracks from both of the games. But if you buy the limited edition on the NIS website, I think it's going to have a 2-disc soundtrack, one for each game, so more tracks from each one. So if you are a fan of the NIS style of JRPGs, absolutely give this one a look. Well, while you may only be waiting until May to get your hands on the NIS collection, you're going to have to be waiting a little while for this next title. Crytek has unveiled Crysis 4 is in development. And they unveiled it with a fancy schmancy, expensive-looking 3D animated trailer that basically culminates in just a number. 4. It is Crysis 4, and I've been playing the first Crysis remastered on the Switch, and I've been enjoying it. I have 2 and 3 on the way. Well, 2's here, 3 is going to be on the way at some point. But, there's really not much to go on besides Crysis 4 is in development. That's about all you can say. They posted this on their blog. We are so pleased and excited to bring this news to you, and we really can't wait to reveal more details about what lies ahead. Right now, the game is in the early stages of development, so it will be a while yet. But we wanted to bring you the news at this time, as we are so hyped for the future, and to let you know that we will be listening to our community. So I guess if there's anything you've really wanted to see in a Crysis game, now's a really good time to get on social media, tag them, and get vocal about it. And you never know what might happen. I don't know exactly when they would probably be able to get this thing out. If it's really early in development, it's definitely not going to be out this year. Probably not next year either. Maybe, I suppose maybe holiday 2023 isn't out of the question, but when they say it's so early in development, all I'm thinking is probably 2024. They did not reveal any systems, but you can probably draw a conclusion. It'll probably be PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, if I had to guess. It would be great if it came to Switch. I am not going to hold my breath on it, but who knows? Only the future knows for certain. Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires is going to be coming out on February 15th, But you can get your hands on a demo that is available now on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, as well as Nintendo Switch. And I picked the demo up on the Switch and the PS4. And, let me tell you, I'm no stranger to Dynasty Warriors games. I've played a lot of them throughout the years. I'm not like... I don't have 75 different versions of every Dynasty Warriors game that ever came out. I know there's people out there on YouTube that make really well-informed videos on these things, but, my experience with the franchise is somewhere around 15 to 20 games with it, and I've invested about 150 hours or more in the series, probably more in the series, because I think I did about 50 hours with Fire Emblem Warriors, 50 with Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, and then another 40-something with Age of Calamity. Maybe it's more than that with Age of Calamity. I put a lot of time into that. But basically, long story short, I'm no stranger to this franchise. I've played a lot. I've enjoyed a lot. There's, generally speaking, pretty easy games to pick up and play. They're pretty similar to each other, It's kind of one of those, like with the Lego games, it's like they're kind of like comfort food of gaming. You're going to get exactly what you expect. But this one kind of threw me for a loop. And let me tell you why. They have the difficulty on this thing cranked up so high that I was not able to finish either of the two missions. They had like an attack mission and a defense mission, and if you could capture the castle, then you won that. Or if you defended the castle, then you won that victory as well. You had these two missions on the same battlefield, and I could not do a damned thing with it. And here's the problem with it. First and foremost, the difficulty is way up there a bit. It's a demo. It's, there's no way of adjusting it. But when you are playing one of these Dynasty Warriors games, you have to capture certain points on the map. Certain forts will increase your troop presence on the stage and help turn the tide of battle in your favor. Well, the problem was I could not capture any of them because basically you have a health bar at the top whenever you are in a fort that can be captured, and usually it's a number like 150. And as you defeat soldiers, the more you knock out or take out, the lower that number goes, and when it hits 0, you'll take over that stage, that fort, or whatever it may be. Well, the problem is that enemy officers, the mainline Warriors characters, they kind of act as the last line of defense for each of these places. Now, if they actually stayed in one location, that wouldn't be a problem. Here's the problem. They follow you around the map. So you are trying to win this fort away from them. And number one, they're pretty tough as it is. And number two, I was outnumbered at one point 5-on-1. 5 enemy officers, the mainline characters, against my one with the difficulty cranked up. And they're following me around so I cannot win any point on the map. This thing was brutal. And I played it on Switch first, and I think it probably has even more performance issues than Age of Calamity did. But it was playable, but it was a little bit tricky to read some of the text, specifically the thumbstick buttons, like the L and the R for clicking in the stick. When I'm playing in portable mode, you just cannot make out what they say at all. I mean, it's clicking in one of the sticks, left or right, whenever they explain it to you, but, the screen is so small that you can't make out that little bit of text in the middle. And I was playing on the OLED, too, so it was a bigger screen than the standard Switch. But, That was a problem. The frame rate was chugging along, and quite frankly, Dynasty Warriors 9 was based on, or Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires is based on Dynasty Warriors 9, which was on the PS4. And, so that game's getting scaled back a bit from PS4 hardware to the Switch. So obviously it's going to take a hit in the performance, side of things. But, to make matters even tougher with this demo is that it's kind of a visual mess. And what I mean by that is you have the health bars for every soldier on the map. And some of the games in the series allow you to just have the health bars for the officers, and, the typical, cannon fodder enemies, are just like, oh, you'll knock those out. You don't even need the health bars on that. Just keep whacking at them. But with the officers' health bars, you have, the health bar itself. Then you have these two little tiny squares to the left of it. And these represent how many health bars that enemy officer has. And they're all the same color. If you have, 50 enemies behind where you're fighting somebody, that health bar is going to get lost in the shuffle, and you're going to keep wondering, did I hit him enough? I thought he had less health than this. And, that was a problem. Then you also have menus popping up like right on the screen for giving instructions to your ally officers. And you also have, like, if you have shield, enemies with like a certain amount of shield or armor or whatever, when you hit those enemies, you'll see like this seven hexagon grid kind of show up in front of them. It's just, there is so much going on at once. On top of the performance issues, it just was not the kind of experience I was hoping it was going to be, at least in the demo. And I'm not sure if they just cranked the difficulty up to try to win over like the masochistic Dark Souls, Demon Souls. Yeah, that's right. I want to lose. I want to get my ass handed to me type players, or what. But yeah, this one kicked my ass, and it's frustrating because I don't usually have problems with these games, and quite frankly, the point of it is supposed to be that you are mowing through all these grunt enemies, and it's supposed to give you this sense of satisfaction that not necessarily any other genre provides in quite the same way. And for this game to not really kind of hit that same note is a little bit problematic. I think it's going to be problematic for them. But, there's still, a little over 2 weeks for the game to come out. We don't know what the final version is going to be like when it's out in the wild. So, I'd say if you try the demo and you just can't get anywhere with it, take a wait-and-see approach as far as the reviews for it go. And, if it ends up being, a little bit better or a little bit easier than the demo would lead you to believe, then fantastic. Just use the demo primarily as, like, a gauge for the performance quality. Because, like I said, I played on the Switch. It kind of chugged along from time to time. And then I also played on PS4, and they had 2 different performance modes. And I played one of them. I can't remember which one I played. I think I played the one that prioritized the resolution over frame rate. And quite frankly, it was not a heck of a lot better than playing it on the Switch. I imagine the other performance mode might help a bit with that. But, give the demos a shot. It's going to be out on the 15th of February, and it's going to be physically on the Switch, PS4, Xbox Series X, and digital only on PS5, and I believe Google Stadia. I'm not sure when that's going to be hitting Stadia. I think it's the 15th as well, but don't hold me to it. But, if you like the Muso games, the Warriors games, it's worth trying the demo out. But, go go into it with modest expectations because this one's going to hurt a bit. Last up on collecting news is a reminder that Jump Force and its DLC is about to be delisted on US platforms. On February 7th, it's all going away. Unfortunately, this means you cannot get the digital game, you cannot get the DLC for it. That's the important part, the DLC. You can get the game physically no matter where you go. PS4, Xbox, Switch, you can get it on all three platforms physically. Don't think about Steam, you're kind of out of luck on that one. There are 2 character passes out there, and if you get the Switch version, it's actually the deluxe version that has the first character pass on the cartridge, nothing you have to redeem or download or anything like that. I believe it's just on the cartridge itself. But on PS4 and Xbox, there are 2 character passes that add several characters from Bleach and My Hero Academia. And of course, Jump Force, I mean, if you aren't familiar with it, this is basically a crossover 3-on-3 3D fighting game based on all sorts of legendary franchises from Shonen Jump. Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, One Piece, My Hero Academia, Rurouni Kenshin. The list goes on. It's one of those things where it was kind of controversial because they botched the art style of it a bit because they decided to bring these anime characters and give them more realistic looks because the game takes place in the real world. Like the worlds of these fictional stories have somehow leapt through some sort of dimension, and now they are in the real world, and you have Goku and Frieza battling it out in Times Square in New York City. Kind of a weird game, but when it's got so many noteworthy characters and franchises in it, it's worth mentioning that, hey, this is about your last opportunity to get this stuff, so you might need to grab it now. The online services for it are going to be going offline at the end of August, and that's one of the reasons why the game's getting delisted, and I think it's primarily due to licensing issues, so it's just kind of like, oh, they're wrapping it all up in a neat little bow. So you better stop procrastinating on at least the character DLC before that goes into the wind, if you will, on February 7th. It's time to play something new with new releases. And this week, as a matter of fact, today, if you haven't been on social media, everybody is talking about Pokemon Legends Arceus. And some reviews have compared this to being like the Breath of the Wild for Pokemon, or like a hybrid of Pokemon and Breath of the Wild. So it's like when I heard that, it went from, ooh, I probably should pick that up at some point, to, oh yeah, I gotta have it, and I panic bought it on the last day for pre-orders on Amazon at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And, well, spoiler alert, I guess you can pretty much figure out what I'm going to talk about on episode 4. But Amazon had a pre-order bonus. It's like every store had like different pre-order bonuses, but Amazon had some DLC that was like some additional costumes for the main characters, and the other places had like, I want to say it was like some art cards and maybe some stickers. I could be wrong about that, but it's like Amazon basically had the pre-order bonus that you really wanted to get. So I jumped on it, and from what I'm seeing, the graphics leave something to be desired, but apparently the rest of the experience is really, really good. They're calling it some of the best, one of the best Pokemon games in the last 20 years. So, it's definitely the must-have title of the week when it comes to new releases. I'm looking forward to maybe chatting your ear off a little bit about that next time. But moving on, the PlayStation 5 is getting the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection, and this compiles Uncharted 4 and The Lost Legacy, and makes use of all sorts of performance bonuses, I guess you'd say, some extra performance modes, if you will. I believe including 120 frames per second at 1080p. That is a lot of frames per second, let me tell you. But I love the Uncharted games, and the Uncharted franchise and myself kind of have like a fun reputation where it's like when I bought the PS3, it was the Uncharted 3 bundle. I can't remember if that was like around Black Friday or what, but when I first got a PlayStation 3, I got Uncharted 3 with it. When I bought a PlayStation Vita, I ended up getting Uncharted Golden Abyss alongside of it. And when I got the PS4, it was, wait for it, the Black Friday PlayStation 4 bundle with Uncharted 4. And Uncharted 4 being in this one, I can tell you that this is a phenomenal bookend to the Uncharted series. I haven't played The Lost Legacy yet. I have it, I just haven't gotten around to it. It looks really interesting, if nothing else, and if it's anything like the previous Uncharted games, it's absolutely going to be worth playing, and worth picking up this collection if you haven't already played either of those. Moving on, we have Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger IX2. Whew. This has been a rough episode for titles, let me tell you. But this is a modern retro game, 2D side-scroller, and it's available on the Switch, PS4, I think it's PS4, Xbox, and Steam, and it should be out now. And this is primarily digital, but you can get a limited run physical release. I believe the pre-orders just went live for that, or if they haven't, they're going to in the next day or so. But yeah, give that one a look. I've heard it's kind of short but sweet, but if you like the first, you'll probably like this one too, which kind of also describes the next title that there is to talk about, and that being Windjammers 2. Now, this was a cult classic on the Neo Geo, and it got new life thanks to a re-release on modern platforms several years ago, and this is a full-fledged sequel to it. They expanded on the roster, they changed the art style a bit. It takes a little bit of getting used to if you play the original, but it's, bright colors, looks like a fun time. And of course, Windjammers itself is like a hybrid of Pong, volleyball, and soccer all in one. You basically have to throw a frisbee into your opponent's goal, and depending on where you get it to land, you get a certain amount of points with it. And each character has their own special moves, their own stats, stuff like that. And, it's a really neat game. I enjoyed the first one. I have it physically on the Switch, and that was also a limited run release. I have the second one pre-ordered through limited run as well, so that means I'll probably see it next year. But, yeah, this is an arcade title, so know what you're getting into. This is going to be kind of a pick-up-and-play type title. It's not going to have a lot of depth to it. I think the main single-player mode is, I think it's just the arcade mode where you challenge every character. I mean, it's arcade mode. But, if you like the first, you'll like the second most likely. It has online play, I believe. And it's a good time. It's, if it clicks with you, you'll definitely have a fun day at the beach. The Life is Strange Remastered Collection is coming on February 1st to the PC, PS4, PS5, Stadia, Xbox, and Xbox One. And this compiles Life is Strange and Life is Strange Before the Storm. And these are adventure titles that I've been kind of curious about it, but I know the Switch version for True Colors got pushed back to sometime later this year. It's just one of those franchises I've heard good things about. I just haven't gotten around to playing it. And the same goes for Dying Light 2. I actually have this on PS4. I got it at a thrift store for like $1 or something like that. It was in like a generic GameStop case. But that will be out on February 4th on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and Xbox One. And that pretty much does it for new releases. It's time to save a little bit of money with some digital deals. We're starting off with the EA Publisher Sale on the eShop. It ends on February 2nd, but you can get FIFA 22 Nintendo Switch Legacy Edition, which is, long story short, basically just a roster and kit update, for $20 digitally. You also have Lost in Random for $15. Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Naperville Complete Edition for $14.79. And I actually picked that up at during Black Friday this past year, and I never got around to sitting down with it. You can also get Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered for $9.99, which is a great price on that. And for 10 cents less, you can pick up Burnout Paradise Remastered. And I don't know why they'd have one at $9.99 and the other at $9.89. But either way, those are two fantastic, I guess, are these getting close enough to say retro racing games, I guess you'd say, from the PS360 era? And absolutely worth playing, especially at those prices. And last up, you have Unravel 2, which I don't think the first one is on the Switch, but you can get it for $4.99. So if you've played the first one elsewhere, and you have a Switch and you want to play Unravel 2, it's $5. Get at it. Capcom is doing a Lunar New Year sale, and they have a bunch of titles on sale through the 30th of January, so not a lot of time to get on these, but you have things like the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy for $14.99. You can get Dragon's Dogma, Dark Ascension for the same price. The Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle is $9.99, and you know, I keep seeing that it keeps going down to $9.99. One of these days, I'm actually going to buy it because Capcom used to make some really, really good beat 'em ups back in the '90s, and that's a hard price to argue with. And also, for $9.99, you have Okami HD, which is a classic game from the PS2 era. And let's see, what else? If you are looking for a Resident Evil kick on the go, you have Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 for $14.99 a piece on the eShop. Resident Evil is only $12.99. I guess, what do you call it? Resident Evil HD? Shin Resident Evil? I don't know. And you also have the Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 for $7.99 a piece. So plenty of things to choose from on the Capcom sale, and Ubisoft is also trying to get in on the mix. They have Immortals Phoenix Rising for only $14.99 on the eShop. That's a really good price on that. It started to hit around $20, so I'm thinking I'm going to eventually grab a copy of it physically. But if you don't care about physical or digital, then you have a great option for $15. Now, last week I mentioned something about a new Hatsune Miku game coming to the Nintendo Switch, and we have a little bit more details on it because it's out. This is Hatsune Miku Connecting Puzzle Tamagotchi. And it's normally $14, but you can get it on a launch discount, I believe, for $11.20. And it's one of those puzzle games where I'm looking at the screenshots of it, and I can't really figure out what to do with it. I guess it's probably like a match 3 thing. But, you know, this is the one where you have bird versions of the Vocaloid characters like Hatsune Miku, Rin and Len. I'm going to get those names right this time, because I slipped up on that and I was hating myself for it last week. And, you know, it looks interesting. I think it's solo player only. I don't think there's any multiplayer with it. So, that's worth a look if you like Hatsune Miku. And I most certainly do, because I watched the Magical Mirai Blu-ray just yesterday. And what's neat about it is that you can actually find it in stores at Walmart, as crazy as it sounds. Hatsune Miku concerts, live concerts, on Blu-ray in Walmart in America in 2022. How crazy is that? Next up, we will move over to the PlayStation Network and their deal of the week. You can get Mortal Kombat 11 for 80% off or $9.99. And if you enjoy a good NetherRealms fighter, you are definitely going to get your $10 worth out of that. And if you want to expand on it by adding, the Terminator, Rambo, RoboCop, and several other classic combatants, you can also get the Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate upgrade add-on bundle and expand on your roster and add the Aftermath campaign to it as well. That is Aftermath expansion Combat Pack 1 and 2 for $15. Sony is still running the Games for Under $20 sale, and there are some noteworthy titles on here. You have the Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm Legacy Collection, normally $70, and it is $17.49 on the PlayStation Store. And I believe that compiles 4 different games in one, like all 4 of the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games. Because they also have Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 separately for $11.99 all by itself, and I think that one's included with the Storm Legacy Pack. If you like Naruto, if you like 3D fighters, if you like games with pretty cel-shaded graphics, give it a look. At that price, that's a great deal, 75% off. You can also pick up Res Infinite for $8.99 if you did not get it on the Play at Home promotion that Sony did back during the pandemic's worst days. $8.99 for that is a great deal. I love that game. I especially love the Area X they added for this Res Infinite release. Definitely give it a shot. I'm not going to make a joke about a certain accessory that goes along with it because I'm trying not to use the explicit tag, but if you know what accessory I'm talking about, that. I don't know if it works with it or not. You can also get Luminous Remastered for $5.99. That's down from $15. That's a really good version of the music meets Tetris style block making game or block clearing game, however you want to view it. Let's see, moving on, we have Persona 5 Royal Deluxe Edition for 72% off, down from $69.99 to only $19.59. And if you haven't played Persona 5 at some point, that's definitely a great way to do it. I don't think it's ever going to hit the Switch, it seems like. I don't know why. I'm not sure if there's some sort of exclusivity deal there or what, but they are just leaving money on the table, and it's driving me nuts. I mean, I suppose there was the rumor about Persona 4 Golden coming to Switch, like with the Persona 4 Arena game bundled with it. There's only going to be a digital release, for Persona 4 Arena Ultimax on the Switch. So people were wondering if there's going to be a bundle with Persona 4 Golden and Ultimax on a physical game cartridge. And come to think of it, actually, I want to say it was Atlus's own website that leaked that out by accident. Some part of the site went live before it should have, and it said something about a Switch version with these two things bundled with it. So, keep your fingers crossed on that one. But yeah, Persona 5 is absolutely a worthwhile endeavor. I haven't finished it, but it's one of those things where you play 5 minutes of it and in goes the hook. Speaking of fives, you can get Star Wars Battlefront 2 for only $4.99, and I know the EA Star Wars games kind of have a dubious reputation due to loot boxes and microtransactions and all the controversy surrounding that. But for $5, that is absolutely worth it. Great gameplay. I mean, beautiful graphics. It runs on the Frostbite engine, if I remember correctly. And I think this is like one of my favorite things about the Disney era of Star Wars are like the Battlefront 1 and 2 games. I mean, they're not the greatest things ever. The single player is severely lacking. But, you know, if they really did it right, if they recreated the original trilogy as the main campaign on these things, it would be phenomenal. Free idea for Battlefront 3. But, you know, as is, $5, that is a fantastic deal. It's normally $20 to begin with, so 75% off on that. And right next to it, you have Dragon Ball FighterZ, which just recently celebrated its 4th anniversary, and you can get this for 85% off or $8.99. Moving over to Xbox Live, we have Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the original Xbox version of it, for only $4.99. And I don't know how well it holds up, this particular version of it holds up, because it has been a while since I played it. I beat it on the original hardware. Oh, God. It wasn't like 18 years ago? God, couldn't have been that long. 17, 18 years, something like that. But it is one of the best games on the original Xbox. And I actually pre-ordered the physical version on the Switch. So, yeah, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. And because I'm not done talking about Star Wars, apparently, you can get Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga for $4.99 as well. They actually have several of the Lego games for $4.99 as well, and those are the 360 versions on that. And I think there's Lego Indiana Jones 1 or 2 or both for $4.99. I forgot to make note of that. I saw it while I was scrolling through the listing for this one. You know, the Lego games are kind of like a comfort food. You know exactly what you're going to get with them. And at $4.99, that's not a lot of money to get a lot of replay value out of it. That will do it for the digital deals this week. And next up, we get to talk about some of the fun things that I managed to get my hands on this week. And that means it's time to finally open up this box that has been sitting next to me this entire time. This limited run box, and inside we have half a dozen Switch titles, and the first of which being Grandia HD Collection. And I've been wanting to play these games for quite some time. I had a close call with Grandia 2, I want to say, on the Dreamcast. I came across an empty case copy of it at a Goodwill. Somebody had stolen the disc out of it, of course. It's like $2 or $3. Why the hell can't you just open your wallet for it? Why you have to be a stingy... Well, trying not to use the explicit tag, but just know that there was a curse word in there. Anyways, now the physical version of Grandia HD Collection is actually going for, I want to say like $120. And fortunately, they had a restock, or they let loose with some extra copies during the 2022 blowout sale. I managed to snag that at just the regular price. And this has Grandia 1 and 2 on it, and it features enhanced details to UI, sprites, and texture art. Original cinematic videos receiving visual enhancements, widescreen support, audio has Japanese and English with it. Yeah, it's... I mean, I can deal with getting that physically. I've basically learned that the games that go up in price the most on Switch in the resale market have been RPGs. So when I had the opportunity to buy some of these out-of-print JRPGs, I jumped on it because here comes the name of the show, FOMO's a MOFO. And next up, I got Dragonstar Varnir, and this is kind of like a weird title where the women in the game are witches that have dragons growing inside of them, and if you do this certain like feasting action during combat, then you'll feed the dragon inside, and if you feed it too much, then eventually it'll burst out like in like Aliens or something like that. And that will be the rather gruesome death of the witch. And if you don't feed them, if you don't feed the dragon inside at all, eventually the witch goes crazy. So you kind of have to balance it out between feeding it a little bit but not feeding it too much. And that's a pretty unusual concept for an RPG, I must admit. And that's an Idea Factory title. And that's not going to be the only Idea Factory title, because this one's also from Idea Factory, that being Mega Dimension Neptunia V2. I think it's V2 and not 7. I don't know anymore. I'm struggling with titles. And this is one of the only times I've ever played a Neptunia game. I believe I played... I can't remember if it was the demo or if one of the Neptunia games was on PlayStation Plus, on like the Vita or the PS3. But I have very little knowledge of actually playing the franchise. It's one of those things where it's like, I've known it, I've known about it, I've wanted to play it, I just haven't gotten around to it, and I figure, might as well strike while the iron's hot and jump into the world of game industry. I guess that's what you call it. Let's see, and next up in my limited run box of fun, ooh, hey, that rhymes. I have Shiren the Wanderer, the Tower of Fortune, and the Dice of Fate. Now, this is a dungeon-crawling JRPG, like a modern retro style, and I never played Shiren the Wanderer when it was on the DS. I wanted to, I just never got around to picking it up. But this one has actually a pretty interesting feature called Live Display Mode. And it says, take your audience on the adventure with this optional display optimized for streaming gameplay. And I don't know that you can stream directly from the Switch or not. I'm kind of curious as far as checking that out goes. I mean, I don't do anything as far as game streaming goes, but I wouldn't mind to give that a try sometime. It's just kind of difficult to even get the show out sometimes. But next up, I have another modern retro game, and this is Panzer Paladin. And this is a 2D action game. And it's kind of done with NES-style sprites. And this was available through Best Buy, but I procrastinated on it too long, and eventually it sold out. And this was basically my last opportunity to grab it, so I thought, oh, okay, what the heck. And I really don't know too much else about it. I watched a review some time back. I know it's like okay, it's not like the most mind-blowing game in the world, but it kind of caught my eye because I think you can like get out of like this mech suit, I guess the Panzer, and you can do different gameplay elements, flip different switches or attack different enemies or whatever outside of your mech. So I thought that was kind of curious, along with the retro-style graphics to it. So I thought, yeah, what the heck. FOMO's a MOFO. I'm trying not to work that in, but it just feels like a natural fit so many times when I'm talking about stuff on here. Now, last up, and the last Idea Factory title that I picked up during the sale is Death End Request. And this is getting a sequel soon. I don't know if it's out yet. I think it's going to be out in a few days or a few weeks. And quite frankly, this is a title I just, I knew it was a JRPG. I was somewhat familiar with the name, so I just pretty much tossed it in the cart as fast as I could and checked out as quickly as I could so when nothing else would sell out, because I lost a couple of things that way. But it's kind of got like a Sword Art Online kind of thing going with it. You are trapped between reality and the virtual world. What really happens when it's game over? And it looks pretty interesting. It's got great art style to it. The cover art's really, really nice. And I'm curious to see what it has in store for me whenever I finally sit down and play it. Now, last up on my pickups is Mega Man 11, and I got this right alongside the Hatsune Miku Magical Mirai Blu-ray I mentioned a little bit ago. And this was only $17 or $18, something like that. And I've been meaning to pick it up. I had played the demo a couple of times. And I figure, I'm going to procrastinate on it too long. I know it. And eventually it's just going to be gone everywhere. But, I kind of just, made it a spontaneous little purchase. And what I've played of it, it's been really good. Unlike the Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires demo, this one is kicking my rear end in the good kind of way. I know it was my fault that I messed up on that, as opposed to the game just beating the hell out of me. But I need to spend some more time with it. But what I've played of it has been really good. And like I said, there is a demo for it out there. So if you're curious about it, if you've never gotten around to trying it, give it a shot. It's got kind of a different 3D art style to it. But I believe it's got a dual language dub on it. I'm playing in English, and I'm really, really tempted to switch over to the Japanese, if that tells you everything it needs to about the quality of the dub. But it's a budget title. It's a quality action platformer from what I've played. And that was my pickups for this week. And since pickups are done, I believe that has brought us to the end of this episode of FOMO's a MOFO. I want to thank you for listening. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on your podcasting platform of choice. We just went live on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeart Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and we are already live on Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and GeoSavan. Might not have pronounced that last one right. I'll get it right eventually. But you can also follow the show on Twitter at FOMOSAMOFO or my personal account at BlueSwim. And if you get a few minutes and you feel like dropping a 5-star review for the show somewhere on one of those podcasting platforms, it would help out greatly. Well, this has been BlueSwim. I hope you enjoyed the show. And I will see you guys again next week. Happy collecting, everyone.